Everyone, we are going to be going live with Jaina, as she is going to be teaching us all about how we can use real estate investing to travel the world for free or barely anything, and how we can use what we're already doing with real estate investing to gain points and to just be able to travel. So I am so excited. She is a wealth of knowledge. If you just take a look at her Instagram, you will see I'm going to be adding her right now. I'm so excited. All right, I just sent you the request.
Hey, Miranda.
Hello. I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be on with you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's the perfect timing. Perfect timing, and literally on a Travel Tuesday to have this live. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming on. I saw your story already, and we were just like, oh my gosh, so much information. I'm like, yes, I can't wait to have you on to just talk us through it all.
Exactly. I'm here. I'm all ears, and I would love anyone that has questions, just put it in the chat because it's free game. It's free game for anyone.
Yes. You guys take advantage of her time. She's here. Ask her all your questions. She's amazing. So do you want to get us started by telling us a little bit about how you got started in all of this?
Sure. So in travel hacking, I got started the same time I was trying to get funding for a business. So I own a midterm rental co-hosting company called Premier Host Management. And originally me and my business partner wanted to do Airbnb arbitrage, but we're like, okay, but we don't want to use our own money. So we figured, let's figure out how to get business funding. And we found this awesome course from Freedom Travel Systems. That's with Eli Travel Guide, Travel with Tommy, Lucky Tic Tac, really big names in the points and miles industry. And they had this course that essentially taught people how to get business funding, but also how to use your business expenses to get nearly free travel. So that was sometime around 2021. And that's literally what opened the doors to so much opportunity. Because I've always loved traveling. I did. And just would travel probably annually just on my own money. But once I figured out this game of points and miles, I was like, wow, I'm checking off bucket list items. I'm traveling on business class and I'm doing it all for nearly free. So that's just like the quick and dirty version of how I got started. It came from a course. It literally came from a course.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just like took that and ran. And
I
have you
did.
like just been trial and error since then
Of
and just
course.
learning through
Of
experience and
course.
everything like that?
And I'm still making mistakes. Everyone is continuously learning and growing, and you can't be perfect in anything. I think for me, it was just something I was so passionate about that I really dug deep. And I got multiple courses. I started going to like a black hole of YouTube, and just learning it all and how it can relate to real estate.
Yeah. Well, and I hear this all the time too, because I feel like it's such like almost an underutilized tool. And I feel like it's because there's so much information out there. It's like, how do you like just sift through it all? And I think that's why I love having you on, because you're the best. You guys, she's the best at this. Because there is so much information out there. It can be overwhelming, but it's such a great tool to have, because like, yes, you can go out and raise money, or you can save, or you can do, side hustles, or you could just use the tools that are already out there at your disposal. You just have to learn the right way how to use them.
Exactly.
So what was like a personal experience for you that was just where it just clicked and you're like, oh, I need to do this like full time, the full throttle?
Oh, okay. It was my first business class flight on Emirates. That's when like I was like, okay, this is a thing and I could do it sustainably. So long story short, I got a commercial loan for my third rental property in Evansville, Indiana, which allowed me to wrap the renovation costs into the loan. So I didn't have to put any money down, which is like, wow, right? So creative finance, number one. And then they just give you a check for the rehab amount based on the appraisal that you give in order to do the renovations. And so being on the travel hacking side, I was like, wait, I'm going to put all my contractor expenses through credit cards and pick up all these sign-up bonuses so I could accrue hundreds of thousands of points and miles. So that's what I did with just one property renovation. It was about $26,000, and I accrued like over 400,000 points. And you know what I did with that, Miranda? I went to Lake Como, 5-star luxury hotel for 3 nights for free. I took Emirates business class round trip, and that entire trip should have cost over $10,000, but I spent around $300 in taxes and fees.
Oh my
so
God.
that was when the moment I was like, wait, I need to do this and I need to let people know, because there's so many real estate investors, you included, Miranda, who are like, I remember first meeting Miranda, and she was like, I want to get into real estate so I could build wealth so that I can travel. And I
Mhm.
was like, girl, you could do that
Yeah.
now. You could do that now. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that is what I'm like actually realizing, and it's just because I feel like burnout is a thing,
Mhm.
and when you keep going and going, and it's like yes, you want to build up to where you can live your life, but also you don't want to miss out on living your life right now. And you're giving us like this opportunity through this wealth of knowledge of being able to kind of like take a shortcut and be like, okay, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna hustle now to build wealth, but also I'm gonna travel and like enjoy my life right now too in the moment.
Exactly. Why delay? I see all my ladies in the comments. Hey, ladies joining.
Yes, it's Christina.
Exactly.
So, okay, so someone like me, new, how do I get started? Walk me
Okay.
through this.
Okay. So the first thing that people don't realize is I get the question all the time, Jaina, what is the best credit card? Well, the thing is, it depends on your bank relationships. So the first thing I'm going to ask you, well, who do you bank with? If you tell me you bank with Wells Fargo, they actually do have a new credit card that has transferable points to airline partners and hotel partners, but it's best if you're a real estate investor to get into the Chase and American Express ecosystems. This is the reason why it's good for real estate investors, is because those particular programs have dual function that best serve real estate investors like us. They have great travel programs, but then they also have great 0% APR business credit cards that we could use as funding for our projects. So why not start out your relationships with the banks that could benefit you most as a real estate investor, as opposed to going to other banks that maybe can't benefit you as much?
Okay.
Okay, so I would say if you don't have a relationship with Chase or American Express and you want to start out using travel hacking through real estate, start off with Chase. The reason why is Chase is like a jealous boyfriend. I say this all the time. Like, they don't like you banking with other banks. They're like, no, get the bank with us, right? And they also have this unwritten rule called 524, which essentially means you can't get approved for any of their credit cards if you've applied to 5 usually personal credit cards in the last 24 months. So that's why you want to prioritize Chase, because they're a little bit more inquiry sensitive. So if
Okay.
I were just starting out, this would be essentially what I would do. If I have nothing, I would get the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, because that's the best beginner travel card. It's only $95 annual fee, and it gives you the magic ticket to transfer your points to transfer partners. I just spoke with someone in Jesse's Air Venture Academy who said, Gina, how do I transfer my Amex points? And I was like, well, do you have like a gold card or a platinum card? And they're like, no. And I was like, see, that's where you're stuck. There's only certain gateway cards that allow you to transfer over to partners. So I would start off with Chase and then just start building a relationship with them, get those 60,000 sign up bonus, and get your first nearly free redemption, either with a flight or with hotels, specifically with Hyatt, because Hyatt has really good redemptions with Chase Points, which is a transfer partner with Chase. So I would start off simple, put all your spend on that, because it gets 3x points on dining. It allows you to also get a bonus if you do want to use the travel portal for points, but just start simple. Start simple, because it could get really complex.
Okay.
That's where I would say you would start.
And
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you mentioned the transferring of the points. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess like two things here. One, transferring of points. What exactly? Can you
Mm-hmm.
elaborate a little bit more? Like,
Sure,
like
sure.
wait,
Yes.
listening.
Okay. So there are certain banks that have transferable point currencies, meaning their credit card points allows you to transfer to airline or hotel partners. So these banks are Chase, American Express, Capital One, Citi, and now Wells Fargo. And transferable points, so Chase Ultimate Rewards points, Amex membership rewards points, those will always be more valuable than like just an airline point. So let me give you an example. My friend came up to me, Ralph, and he was like, Gina, the Hilton business card has 120K thousand sign up bonus. Should I get that instead of the Amex Gold, which has 90,000 sign up bonus, right? And at first glance, people are like, well, yeah, 120K is more than 90K. But this is the thing, not every point has the same value. I will repeat that. Not all points are created equal. So this is how I helped him understand. I was like, what if I adapted this? Okay. And I said, Ralph, I said, it's actually Ralph for anyone who knows Ralph that knows me. I said, if I said, would you rather have 120,000 pesos with Hilton as opposed to $90,000 with Amex, what would you choose? Of course, he said Amex, because their points are more valuable, right? So that's one thing that everyone needs to know. Not all points are equal. So anytime you have an airline point or a hotel point, it's never going to be as valuable as an Amex, Chase. Those are transferable. So
Okay.
Chase, Amex, Capital One, Citi, Wells Fargo, they all have different transfer partners. So with Chase, you're going to get a great transfer partner, like Southwest is really good with Chase. And then a great transfer partner on the hotel side is Hyatt. A lot of people love using Chase points for Hyatt because you could get such high value for your points. So that's what I mean is certain cards will give you access to transfer partners with banks, right? And that allows you to use less points essentially to get a free, like a nearly free flight or a nearly free hotel. If you book through the portal, 90% of the time, not 100, 90% of the time, they will rip you off, right? You can find like good redemptions on like the credit card travel portals for especially domestic flights. But most of the time, if you transfer your points, you're going to be able to use less points for that redemption. So let me just give an example. I know it could get really complex right now, but that 3 night stay, I have a reel on my profile. That 3 night stay in Grand Hotel Victoria in Lake Como, which is now owned by Hilton. It's with Hilton now, but at the time it was with Hyatt. Would have cost over 230,000 points if I booked it through the portal. 230,000 points for 3 days. But since I transferred to Hyatt, guess how many points it was for the same room, same dates for 3 days?
What? What?
80,
Half?
87,000, less than half. That's
Oh
why,
my
that's
God.
why, like, that's why you just want to stay away from the portal. You always want to check the portal just in case to
Mm-hmm.
see what they're working with. But
Wow.
at the end of the day, you always want to transfer.
Okay. And would you recommend like me going opening up like a personal account
Mhm.
and to build up like history and then open up a business account?
Yes,
Okay.
because this is the thing. Banks really rely on relationships. They need to know you as your customer, as their customer before you can get access to their products. It's really like dating. Like, is someone going to lend you so much money if they really don't know you as a lender? Essentially, you're borrowing their money. That's why it's important to build relationships first on the personal side, or you could build a relationship by opening up a business checking account. So that's like a faster version if you really want that 0% APR business credit card with Chase. Those Ink ones are really good. You just open up a business checking account with Chase. You want to deposit at least $2,000 in there because that's the minimum amount that they need in order for you to avoid fees. And then usually at the same time, they'll ask you, okay, do you want an Ink card? Right? And if
Mm-hmm.
you're a business owner, if you're here, if you're a real estate investor, it's always better to apply in branch for the Ink cards. The reason why is because when people apply for the business Ink cards online, there's so many places people make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're a new business owner. They make tons of mistakes and they're like, Jane, I only got approved for 5K. And I was like, yeah. And they made all the mistakes. So when you go in branch, you talk to the banker, you could actually talk to them directly and they could understand your case, why you need this business credit card at a certain credit limit, so they could directly talk with the underwriters at the bank to get you better approvals and their better business products. So that's why
Yeah.
as real estate investors, it's better to go in branch.
Okay. Because that'll get you. Because like that's another whole other side of
Yeah.
this is like building up that credit line,
Uh-huh.
right? And like, before we get into that real quick, we do have a question.
Oh.
What is your opinion on Chase Southwest versus Chase Sapphire? Is that really
Oh, please
special?
do not get the Southwest card. Okay, so this is how we're gonna. You always want to get the pure bank cards first. So think of it like this: the bank cards are gonna be your starting lineup on a basketball team because they're your best players. They can do all the skills. They can pass. They can guard. They can dribble. They know the plays best. If you get a Southwest card, that's your bench player. I'm not saying it's not important. It's a supportive role, but you need to develop your starting team first. So you need to start off with a Sapphire because that allows you to transfer to Southwest, but that also allows you to transfer to Hyatt
Mm-hmm.
and all these other airline partners, not just being stuck in Southwest. Then when you build your starting lineup, which is like your pure Chase cards, then that's when I would venture into just a co-branded airline or hotel card. So that was a great question because people tend to be like loyalists or they just see like, oh, Southwest Companion Pass, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
want to start off on the right foot, and the right foot is building the best credit cards that have the flexible points first. Remember, your starting lineup, you're not going to put a bunch of your bench players in the beginning and the end of the game, right? You
Yeah.
put them in here and there. You don't use them as often. You want to really get the cards that you're going to use often and get the most points out of, like literally and figuratively with the basketball, analogy. Yeah.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It made it very easy to
Yeah.
understand. So, okay, so I go to Chase, I open up a personal account, then I open my Chase Sapphire Preferred. I want to make sure you got that right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I got my 60,000 points. Now, how do I continue to build from there without hurting my credit? And also, how do I build that credit line as well?
Excellent. So you want to make sure that you're using the right credit card for the right purchases. So with the Chase Sapphire cards, they give you 3x on dining. So that's something a lot of people use all the time, and just continuously use that until you get another card that has a category spend that has that earns more points than like the Chase card. So for example, another really good companion to the Chase card is the Chase Freedom Unlimited or the Chase Freedom Flex. The reason why is the Freedom Flex or the Freedom Unlimited card are going to be your workhorse card. So for real estate, there's typically always a simple good combo for you to put all your spend in. You're going to have one, your workhorse card that earns you more than 1 point per dollar on all spend. And then two, you're going to have your travel gateway card that allows you to access the travel partners. So with Chase, it would essentially be the travel access card is the Sapphire card preferred. You could do reserve if you want to be bougie. It depends on your lifestyle and the type of travel experience you're trying to get. And then the Freedom Unlimited is really good because it's 1.5 points per dollar unlimited. So put all your expenses on there. But you know, the Freedom Flex is also really good too because it has rotating categories every quarter
Mm-hmm.
that earns you 5 points per dollar up to 1,500 quarterly. So right now, Q3, the Freedom Flex has the category of like gas and elect EV charging stations, which in California, as we know, we could easily spend like up to $1,500 in 3 months. Really, maybe not that easily. It depends on your car, but that just goes to show how you're able to accrue it. So you typically want a combo.
Okay.
So once you get that Chase, Sapphire card, I would also go with either the Freedom Unlimited or the Freedom Flex, and then just use those. Get used to using them all the time. Like the Freedom Unlimited, that also gets you 3x on drugstores. If you go to CVS to get, toiletries or anything like that,
Right.
your prescriptions, use it on that, right? So you want to develop the relationship first. I would say for at least 3 months, right? Just show Chase like you're here to stay and you want to get a good credit limit with them. You want to build in their favor, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then that's when I would go for the Ink card, specifically the Ink Unlimited, because that gets you 1.5x per dollar on all spend. And this is what I use to generate a bunch of points on my renovations. I put it all on that Ink Unlimited card, which you could also use for midterm rentals for furnishing because it has 0% APR for 12 months. So if you wanted to get a midterm rental, spend money on furnishing with that credit card, then use your revenue to pay it off over time. You've now not only collected 75,000 Chase points, which you could use for nearly free travel, but now have access other people's money because you did the right thing and built relationships first with Chase so that they give you a higher credit limit when you eventually go for their business cards.
Okay. Okay. So the first two you said personal, and then the ink is for the business.
Yes.
Okay.
Any ink card is business, and the cool thing about all the ink cards, it says cash back, or it says like get 150 $750 like cash back, but all the ink cards could also earn you rewards points. It's up to you.
Okay.
It could be redeemed for cash if you convert the points into cash. So that's what they're saying. But really,
Mm.
all the ink cards, there's 4 of them, earn you points, and there's 2 of them that are 0% APR for 12 months. It's the Ink Unlimited and the Ink Cash.
Okay. And then once that 12 months is up and say like you want to go to another flip, you can, is that when you open up another ink card?
Yes.
Or do you
Oh,
merge them or
good
how does
question.
that work?
Good question. So this is the thing. Typically, when you open up multiple ink cards, the credit limit that will they will give you tends to go down, and that's just them like reducing their risk as a bank lending money. So here's a hack. Here we go. First hack of the live, right? So say for example, there's two things. There's two things you could do for here. Let's say scenario one, you do a flip, and for some reason or whatever you use that money for, you didn't pay it off in the 12 months. You're like, oh shoot, I didn't get to pay it off. So you could do a balance transfer to another 0% APR credit card that has balance transfers with no fees, right? For that 0% APR period. One that used to be good was the US Bank business card, but they now took out the 0% APR for balance transfer. So instead, you could get the PNC business card. So I wanted to get this because I know people are probably asking, like, what's an exit strategy if you're going to
Mm.
use credit cards like this? So you balance transfer that to another 0% APR, like the PNC business credit card that has 0% APR, including on balance transfers for 13
Okay.
months. And then here's the hack for your particular situation. You want to do another flip. Say you were able to pay off that Inc. Unlimited card in the 12 months. Then you open the Inc. Cash, also no annual fee, 0% APR for 12 months. Let's say, for example, that first Inc. Unlimited card, they give you 20K credit limit, let's just say, for example. And then the Inc. Cash card, they only give you 10K. And you're like, crap, my renovation cost is 20K. And they only gave me 10K. With Chase, they allow you to reallocate credit limit between business credit cards. So what you could do is you could reallocate this paid off in card 19K from the 20K credit limit, stack it onto this new cash card, and now you've hacked $29,000 of 0% APR for 12 months.
Oh my.
That's the hack there. People don't know you could reallocate it. That's why I say do not close those cards. Keep it open because you can keep moving it around every time you open a new ink card.
Okay, so when you merge that to get the higher credit limit and the redoing the 0% APR, does that is that considering closing that first
No,
one or no? It's
no,
just
because
okay.
just leave it open. So the first one has
Uh,
20K, and try to move ask your banker what's the maximum amount that I can move credit limit from this card to the new cash.
mhm.
And I just gave the example of 19 because 19 out of 20 just keeps like 1,000 credit limit in that. Just keep it open, right? It has no annual fee. It's not hurting you,
Okay.
right? Just and not only that, the reason why I keep the ink open as well is because remember it earns 1.5 points per dollar. So if you have other expenses, maybe software expenses, ad expenses, if you're like a wholesaler, you could still put it on that ink card and accrue more than 1 point per dollar,
Okay.
right? So that's why that ink card is still very functional, the unlimited one, and then the cash one you could use for financing.
I see. Okay. So it's when so if I wanted to transfer all 20,000 of that credit limit to the new credit card, that's when it would close.
Uh,
Or would
you
you
don't
just
want to
have to
close
wait?
it. Don't close it.
Right. Don't close it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
nothing is getting closed here. Okay. We're not closing it.
Okay.
You're just reallocating the credit limit to a new card.
Okay.
But you're keeping the ink open. Keep as much credit limit as you want. For example, I keep like 3K credit limit in my ink unlimited card just so I could use it for any expenses that I want to get more than 1 point per dollar
Mhm.
on a business expense. So I'm accruing more points because it's a very, very functional card to earn points.
And when
Mhm.
you're opening up that second card, is that hurting your credit at all?
Yeah, so anytime you open a Chase credit card, it's typically going to be a hard pull on your Experian credit bureau. So that's going to drop your credit score anywhere from like 1 to 7 points.
Okay.
But what's going to happen is once you've opened that credit card, first of all, after that application, your credit score is going to naturally go back up. But once you have it on the business side with Chase, then you're able to use 100% of the credit limit and they will not report utilization to your personal credit. So that's why one of the biggest mistakes, hey, we're talking about mistakes, right? One of the biggest mistakes people do is they use personal credit cards with 0% APR to fund their real estate projects. So what's happening is essentially the idea is, right, you want to max out that credit limit so you could pay it out over time. But anytime you're over 30% utilization on a personal credit card, that's going to ding your credit score. And then if you're above 50% utilization on any personal credit card of your credit limit, that's a huge red flag to the bank, signaling to them that you're a risky borrower. So that's what happened to Soli. She used the Freedom Unlimited card to do one of her renovation costs, and it tanked her credit score over 100 points.
Wow.
So that's why you want to keep it on the business side, because once it's on the business side, most business credit cards are not going to report utilization to your personal credit score. But there are 3 banks that do on the business side, and this is why I don't like these banks. Capital One, I think I saw Amelia on here. She's a Capital One. She's pro Capital One, but I'm anti. So Capital One, I stay away from Capital One, TD Bank, and Discover. They all report business activity on those business credit cards to your personal credit card.
Okay.
So if you're actually trying to leverage and use this strategy, it's going to mess up your credit score. But of course, if you're just keeping it under 30% utilization on the business side for those 3 banks, it's fine. But if you're actually trying to use it as financing or trying to use that credit line more than 30%, that's what's going to hurt you significantly.
Okay. 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 That makes sense. And so say if my goal was to open these credit cards to merge to say I want to get to like $100,000 of like 0% credit line for a flip, what would be like the best way to do that with like the least hits on my personal credit score? Just what's the best way to do it overall?
Good question. So I would still start off with that strategy with Chase, but instead of getting the Freedom Unlimited, just so there's two ways. I would still prefer that you get like one personal credit card with them just to show them that you have skin in the game, right? And
Hmm.
then I would get the Ink as my second credit card, right?
Hmm.
And then whatever limit they give you, that's whatever limit they give you. And then what I would do is I would move to American Express because American Express is much more generous with their credit limits. So
Okay.
I would get a personal card with American Express, probably the Amex Everyday card because that has no annual fee that also earns points. And then after that, like 30 to 60 days after, then I would get the Amex Blue Business Plus. The reason why Amex is really good without hurting your personal credit so much is because Amex has a unique hack that when you have one personal credit card, not business, one personal credit card with them, any subsequent card you get after that, whether personal or business, is only a soft pull on your credit limit. Excuse me, your credit report. So that
Hmm.
means it's not going to affect your credit score at all. That's why people stack American Express cards because they could get a lot without getting hit to their credit score, which you might obviously need if you're getting commercial loans or whatever kind of loans from banks, right?
Okay.
And then they have two that are 0% APR for 12 months. So this is the hack with American Express. So we talked about the hack with Chase. America and the 13 people on this live is going to be like, yo, this is crazy. Okay. So this is the hack. Everyone needs to listen up. Okay. So American Express is the only bank that allows you to reallocate credit limit from a personal card to a business card. Okay. American Express allows you to reallocate from personal to personal, from business to business, and from personal to business. Chase only allows you to reallocate from business to business or personal to personal. So, say in my example, I had a 50K personal American Express card from 2006 that I just used here and there. It was like one of my first credit cards.
Hmm.
When I applied for that Amex Blue Business Plus, they gave me around 20K credit limit, but at the time I was opening up an Amazon store, so I needed really high credit limit. So this is what I did. I reallocated from my personal credit card $49,000 off my credit limit to that new Amex Business Plus, and now I got 69,000 of 0% APR on one credit card.
Oh
That is the hack.
gosh.
Take notes, y'all. That is the hack with American Express. One credit card, 0% APR for 12 months. I got 69,000 in credit limit, and that's almost like going towards 100K that you're looking for a flip. So
Yeah.
the only thing about American Express is not all vendors are going to take it because they have such high transaction fees. But in that
Mm.
particular case, if it's worth it to you, I would say ask the vendors, can I absorb the transaction fee? If it's really worth it to you, right?
Okay.
Say like, can I absorb the transaction fee so you don't have to pay it so I can use American Express? And at that point, they could use PayPal, they could use
Hmm.
Stripe, or anything like that. How long would you want to wait from Chase Unlimited to Amex? So it depends. If your credit score is over 760, I would say you have some cushion to wait just 31 days and then get another hard hit on your Experian credit bureau because Amex also pulls Experian.
Hmm.
So I would say over 31 days from the Chase Ink Unlimited to Amex. But again, it depends on your goal. Like, do you really need it that quickly? So typically people will say like best practice is to apply for new credit cards every 90 days. But if you're familiar with which credit card pulls from which bureau and you're very knowledgeable and understanding your credit report and you have a high credit score, you could do more often than that. I do. And a lot of points and miles people do it as well.
Okay. And what would you say would be like the minimum credit score that people need to start doing this?
I mean, ideally 700,
Okay.
minimum 700. I'm not saying you can't start doing this,
Hmm.
but if you're trying to make it sustainable, if you're really trying to understand, like, hey, I'm going to open up a lot of credit cards because that's just the easiest way to get a bunch of points, you really need to understand credit,
Hmm.
right? And you really need to be able to absorb those point deductions that you'll get every time you apply to a credit card.
Okay. So then, and so I have my personal chases, my two accounts, and then I got my ink for my business, and then I
Mhm.
go and I open up an AMX for business as well to start building up that credit line. Now, what as an investor can I do with all of these now
Whatever you
opportunities?
want. Whatever, like, where, like, how about let's just use a case study, like, where do you want to go, Miranda, in the world? Where do you want to go?
Mm, Europe.
Where in Europe?
Paris.
Perfect. I'm so glad you said that because you made it easier for me. Okay, both Chase and American Express transfer to Flying Blue, which is a loyalty program for Air France and KLM. There's a lot of award availability to go into Paris, even from the West Coast. So I would start off with finding award availability from SFO to CDG in Paris, and you could absolutely find like award redemptions for one way business class,
Mm-hmm.
60K points or less.
Okay.
If you leave from JFK and you take a positioning flight, you could get it as low as 40,000 points. So it's, I mean, that's kind of like a broad example, but that just goes to show like what can you get with one sign up
Yeah.
bonus, right? Because typically the chase bonus will give you 60,000 points. You could absolutely go one way in business class to Europe. You absolutely can do that with one sign up
And
bonus.
like on like the investor side, is this only beneficial to people who are doing flips, or what exactly can I be charging to these cards to be able to build these
Yeah,
points?
great question. So there's certain investing strategies that this is optimal for. One of them is, yeah, for someone who's a flipper, right? Or if you're an investor and you rehab your properties for, to hold it, like I do. Like I always try to buy properties that are ugly and then you rehab it, right? So that's one. Another great one is for people who run Airbnbs or midterm rentals. The reason why is because you have so many expenses that you could essentially put through the credit card, whether it's your monthly subscriptions to the software you need to operate your properties, or it's paying your cleaners, it's paying your handyman, it's paying the HVAC, the pest control, the plumber, you have a
Mm-hmm.
repair. Anyone who has a real estate business that generates like a couple thousand in expenses every month, this is optimal for them. As long as you put all your expenses through the correct credit cards and then you pay it off every month, you can accrue millions of points. You truly can accrue millions of points by a combination of opening up certain credit cards and just putting your normal spend on it.
Wow. I see. And okay, and is there like a specific bookkeeping streamline or service that you use to kind of organize all of this?
I know a lot of people say that, and no, I don't. I see people use like Google Sheets or an Excel, but even though I have maybe like 20 credit cards, I'm really only using 5 at a time,
Okay.
right? Because remember, we talked about your starting lineup. So my starting lineup right now, actually, let me get my credit cards. Hold on a second.
Okay. Wow, we get the inside scoop into Jaina's credit card life. I love this. And I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you for everyone in the comments with all your amazing questions. Keep them coming.
Okay, here's my starting lineup. I keep it in this accordion situation right here.
Oh my gosh, I love
So,
it.
as I mentioned, right now in Q3, the Freedom Flex has 5 points per dollar on gas. So, I'm using this on every time I get gas.
Wow.
Right. So, that's
It's
one.
down, people.
And then I often go to CVS for snacks or a random stuff. And you could get that on your Flex, or I carry this in my wallet as well, just in case I need 1.5 points per dollar with the Freedom Unlimited. That two places that don't accept American Express. And I'm Asian, so a lot of like Asian places, like restaurants, they don't accept American Express. So that's why I gotta have the trusty like Chase Freedom, right? So that's my starting lineup. And then I have, I want to make sure I cover everything. I have the Amex Blue Business Plus, right? You do not need an LLC to get a business credit card. I got this credit card using just a sole proprietorship and my social security number as the EIN. Okay, just FYI. So if
Okay.
you think that you need an entity to get a business credit card, absolutely not. That's why my name is here twice, because I'm my business. I'm the business. And this is anything. I actually use this a lot when I get like pedicures, because it gets 2 points per dollar, because it's not like there's a pedicure
Mhm.
category, because it gets me the most points for that particular purchase, right? And then I have, just got to cover everything. This is the business gold. This is great for real estate realtors. This is great for wholesalers. This is great for any real estate investor, honestly. I think this is the ideal card. The reason why is because the Amex Business Gold Card gets you 4 points per dollar on your top two spend categories, which include gas. It includes, so if you're driving for dollars, like looking for rental properties to invest in, it includes dining if you're having business meals with your partners, right? It includes transit, so Uber, Lyft, toll roads, all of that stuff. It includes ads. So if you do a lot of Facebook ads, if you're like a wholesaler or real estate and realtor that run ads,
Mm-hmm.
4 points per dollar on this. This is actually really good too if you do e-commerce because it's 4 points per dollar on shipping,
Yeah.
right? So this is a great card because it earns a lot. So this is my workhorse card. It earns the most points so that I can travel.
Okay.
And then I have this card, um, built, built, right? So if you don't know, if you do Airbnb arbitrage, this is the credit card you want because it allows you to pay your rent with the credit card with no fee. And you earn 1 point per dollar on your rent. And Bilt transfers to a lot of great partners like Alaska Airlines, to Hilton, to Air France, as we mentioned earlier before. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great credit card. And then lastly, do I have it in here? I do. So be careful with this card, okay? I see a lot of real estate investors pumping this card. They're like, this platinum card is the best credit card for real estate investors. Let me tell you, it's not. For 90% of real estate investors, this is the worst card for real estate, okay? If you want to learn points and miles, follow the points and miles creator. Take don't take points and miles advice from a real estate creator, right? Or you can follow me because I do both. But this is the reason why this is like one of the worst cards for real estate investors. The first thing is if you are getting the Amex Platinum card first, that now disqualifies you from getting the sign up bonus for the gold card that I just saw and the green card,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you can't even get those huge sign up bonuses, which you want to get essentially to travel hack. This is a new rule that happened in the last year. So if you go straight for the platinum, yes, it's kind of nice and it's metal and it sounds nice, but now you're disqualified from like hundreds of thousands of points, right? Secondly, this is the worst card to earn points, right? The personal platinum, which I also have, see, but I don't keep it in my wallet because I don't use it, but I have the personal platinum as well. The personal platinum earns like 5x points directly with airlines. But in general, the platinum card is only going to earn you 1 point per dollar on all of your spend for the majority. That means if you want to get a business class flight, right, to Paris, say for 40,000 points, you need to spend $40,000 on this card, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the gold instead, you would spend $10,000 to get that 40,000 points, right? Because it has that 4x category. You see the difference? So
Yeah.
that's like one of the big things I want people to understand here if you don't take anything away. The gold card and cards that earn you 1 point per or more than 1 point per dollar helps you get points to travel. So you want a card that earns a lot of points to
Mm-hmm.
travel. Then the gateway card is the card that allows you to get benefits while traveling. It's not going to get you the points to travel, but while you're traveling, you get to go to the Centurion Lounge, you get global entry and TSA pre-check, you get all of these benefits like Clear, you get hotel credit. So it gives you all these benefits, right, while you're traveling,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to help you travel, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're saying so people should still get the card, but just later, not like when
Later,
once it
like
starts. Okay.
get the gold first, and then when you're ready, then you get the platinum. But it depends. Like, for example, if you know Katie Lyon from Furnish Finder, I was like, what do you want to do with points? She's like, I just want to take my family annually to Hawaii. And I was like, okay, you don't need the platinum card. You need the gold.
Yeah.
Right. So it depends on the travel goals of the person, because maybe me and you, yeah, let's go 5-star hotel, business class, luxury, and then other people like just sustainably annual family trip to Hawaii. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So those cards are going to be different from Katie than it is going to be for me and you. We have different cards than Katie does because we have different travel goals.
Okay. That makes sense. And do all of these have 0% APR as well, or
No,
just the
okay.
business
Sorry,
one?
let's get to absolutely not. So
Okay.
actually, so one thing people need to realize is access to funding with the election coming up, in general with the economy, is tightening right now. So if there's a 0% APR business credit card, hop on it when you can because they don't stay there forever. For example, I mentioned in the beginning of the live, the US Bank Business Platinum, I got it for 0% APR for 18 months because I had to do a balance transfer. Actually, with this Business Platinum, this Business Platinum had 0% APR for 12 months when I first got it. Then I did a balance transfer to the US Bank Business Platinum card for 18 months, 0% APR,
Okay.
right? But now they don't have it anymore.
Mm.
So these offers change with credit cards all the time. So you want to make sure that you understand what and kind of, keep on top of all the information, because if you had planned to do a balance transfer like in 3 months to the US bank card, now you can't anymore. So now you have to find another credit card that can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many benefits to all these cards, but Fiorella, she does have a really great question. Do multiple lines of credit opening affect your ability to be approved for housing loans?
Yes, it makes you more able to get approved for housing loans because you have a thicker credit profile, showing the banker that you can handle multiple accounts in a positive way. The way that it can affect you negatively is if you open up a lot recently. Like, so credit bureaus don't want you to have more than 3 hard inquiries per credit bureau in the last 6 months. Excuse me, banks don't want to see that. So if they see like in the last 6 months, you have like 9 like hard inquiries or more, they don't like that, especially when you're in escrow. Please do not open up a credit card if you're like trying to close on a property. Do not. But if you have all these aged accounts, if you have a lot of credit lines, they're all open, they have like 10 years of history, on time payments, that's absolutely going to help you get much better interest rates for housing loans because it shows that you're responsible with
Okay.
money.
Okay. And that's why you always say never close a card. Like people
Exactly.
want that history.
Exactly. So if ever, it depends. It depends. So if ever if you're just starting out and you're building your credit
Hmm.
report, do not close a card. If you need to, because maybe you can't pay for the annual fee, try to downgrade it to a no annual fee version. For example, the Sapphire card, the preferred card, I tell people this, they're like, Jaina, I just absolutely hate paying for annual fees. I'm like, fine. Get it for a year, the Sapphire preferred card, get those 60,000 points so you could go to Hawaii for 5 days free at a Hyatt. Then after a year, downgrade it to the Freedom Unlimited that has no annual fee, and you keep that credit history and you keep it open. So know that that's a possibility. That's much better for your credit report.
Can you repeat that last part?
Sure.
Okay.
So in certain credit cards, you can downgrade to a no annual fee option. For example, if you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, $550 annual fee, you're like, Jaina, I bit more than I could chew. I do not want to pay this again for the second year. I just wanted the sign up bonus. I'm like, okay, this is what you're going to do.
Mhm.
You're going to downgrade it to the Freedom Unlimited or the Freedom Flex card that has no annual fee.
Okay.
And now you keep your on time payment history and you keep all the points that you accrued from that card as well. So you keep that credit line open, which helps your credit report. So that's what you're going to want
Okay.
to do.
Okay. And that doesn't require any credit check or anything because you're not
No, it's
paying.
just, yeah,
That's just
it's
changing
just
it.
called a product
Okay.
change.
Okay.
But
Well,
however, just want to let you know, not all credit card families have a no annual fee. So, for example, the platinum card, that family is the platinum card, the gold card, and the green card. Those, by the way, are all charge cards. They're not credit cards. Credit cards have a credit limit. Charge cards have spending power. That's why those charge cards do not report utilization because there's no credit limit, right? If you wanted to downgrade to the lowest one, you're still going to have to go with the green, which is a $150 annual fee. So not all family of credit cards allows you to do a product change to a no annual fee option because they just don't have one.
so why would someone go with a charge card over just like a regular credit card?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked it. This is where the real estate investors who pump the platinum card, let's give them visual. This is the situation where the platinum card would be excellent for real estate investors. It's for the real estate investors that have super high expenses who can pay them off too.
Okay.
So I actually just checked this platinum. You could check it on the app. You check your spending power. I just put 60K and they're like, yep, you're approved. You could spend 60K on this card. And maybe I'll try to go higher until they say, no, you are not approved for like, I don't know if I did like 100 or something like that. That's when it could be really helpful because now you could put all your expenses through one card, accrue maybe 60,000 points, which is a lot because you need that spending power.
Mhm.
That's who I think the investors really benefit from is if they have like really high, but in my personal opinion, still you should be doing it through other credit cards. But some people really don't want to mess with multiple ones. They really truly just want one card that has really high spending power in that particular unique situation of an investor, which isn't most investors. That's when the platinum would be the best card for you.
And so when you say you got approved for 60,000, does that? So I guess I'm having a little bit of difficulty understanding what like a charge
Sure.
card is exactly. Like, do you have to have that money in your account? Is that how it differs than
No.
a credit card?
Okay. So basically, a charge card will tell you how much you could spend on the card that you could borrow from the bank, right?
Okay.
So if I put, so I could check on my app, I would just put any amount. In this case, I actually put 60,000. It says, yes, you're approved to charge $60,000 in like one statement period up to $60,000. That means I could borrow 60,000 from Amex. And then depending, obviously I want to pay it off the next month, but that's just showing you I can. If this credit card, I mean, a credit card has a credit limit. So for example, with this Amex Blue Business Plus, it's a credit card. It's not a charge card because there's literally a limit of 20K on here. Just make sure I'm covering.
But the
There's,
charge card has a limit too, though, of 60,000.
but it could change. So
Um,
I might today put 80,000. Can I do 80,000? And then it could say yes, or it could say no.
oh.
So it changes depending on your spending history, how long you've had a relationship with American Express, and what kind of expenses like are you putting on the card. Because obviously if they're seeing that you're putting high expenses and you're paying it off over time, they're going to give you more spending power. You could get like 100K really if you're paying it off over time, because they're trusting you because you're paying it off.
And for a charge
So
card, how soon do they expect you to like pay it
well,
off? Like, do you have to pay it off
at
like
the end
next
of
month?
at the end of the day, if you don't pay it off in time, you're going to get the interest, right? And that's how they make money off of you, right? You're still going to, if you don't pay it in full, like in the following statement period, you're going to get that like 25% interest,
So you can build, you can have more access to credit, I guess, or charging with a charge card over a credit card, which is more of a
Yes.
process to say if you're originally approved for 10,000, it's actually a process to get that raised more. But it
Yep.
sounds like a charge card is easier because you can just be like, oh, can I spend this today?
Exactly.
Okay.
And not only that, know that there's several banks, including Chase and American Express, Capital One, City Discover, most cards. They allow you to do a soft pull credit limit increase every 6 months. So if you're not doing that right now, if you've had a Capital One credit card for years and it's been stuck at 10K for 10 years, ask them to double it today. Ask them like, hey, I have some larger upcoming expenses. I'd like to put it all on this credit card. Can I please ask for a soft pull credit limit increase to 20K? Okay. Always increase it. Yeah. Especially remember with the Amex personal card, if you're doing best practices and you ask for the soft pull credit limit increase every 6 months, you're allowing yourself to get a higher credit limit on that personal card, which you could convert to a business card and hack more 0% APR, right? And not only that, the reason why you want higher credit limits on all your cards is because of something called comparable credit. So when you're opening up an account with a new bank, they look at your credit limits with other banks. They say, oh, Jaina has a 30K credit card with Chase. Okay, I'm Wells Fargo. I'll give her a 30K credit limit as well because she's had a long history of them and has always paid it off. So I'll give her 30K as well. But if you're like opening up a new account with Capital One and your highest credit card is like $4,000, Capital One's like, all right, I'll give you 3,000, right? If that's their highest limit, because why would we trust you with more if you haven't proven that you could be responsible with more? So that's why it's best practice to always ask for the soft pull credit limit increase.
Okay. Soft pull. I'm writing this down. and there's so many cards that you had told us today, and I love like the 5 cards that you told us to get started with. I know I've been seeing people comment. Do you have any cheat sheets on your profile or anything like that people can go to get some quick notes? I mean, I'll write it down and I'll put as many notes as I can fit.
Yeah, I mean,
things, but
I don't have a cheat sheet, but I do have some services. So if you go to my Instagram, just go through my profile or really just DM me. I mean, I might not be the fastest, but I really do try to respond to everyone's questions. I'm more than happy to assist you with any questions. But typically, if you scroll through my profile, there's a lot of information on credit cards there. I will
know. I
consider a cheat sheet now that someone's asking. That makes sense. I could consider a cheat sheet.
Yeah. I take one look at your profile and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much amazing information.
Thank you.
But definitely like some sort of like timeline or maybe like map of like which way to go, step 1 or Jaina's credit card map.
Yeah.
I like that.
Actually, yeah, that's great because I get that question often. So absolutely, that's a great idea. I'll consider. Can we use your referral link name in person at Chase branch? No. So if you go in branch, you cannot use referral links, but don't let that stop you from getting the better credit limit. At the end of the day, you should do what's best for you, and that doesn't offend me or offend anyone else if you don't use, my referral link. Absolutely get the best credit limit for you in branch. And a lot of the times in branch, they'll have higher bonuses than what's available online. So for my second Ink Unlimited card, I got 120K bonus in branch because I know my girl Patty always looks for the best offers for me, where the normal Ink Unlimited sign up bonus is 75K. So I got so much more by going in branch.
Wow. Okay. So always go to branch. But if someone wanted to sign up for a home, can they use your link then if they didn't want to go in?
Oh, online? Yes,
Yeah.
like
Do you have links?
just so if you'd like a referral link, please DM me because I have a list of people who have given me their referral link so I could spread it because I've actually this year I'm already maxed out for my Chase Ink cards,
Okay.
but I would love to share other people's referral links so
Oh,
they could get points too. Yeah.
okay. And okay, so I know you already talked about some like mistakes, like common mistakes people make with, Chase versus American Express. Were there any other common mistakes you wanted to throw in there to make sure people avoid before we wrap up?
Sure. Well, the first one is use transfer partners to get the best redemptions. Don't do the portal. And then someone actually came to me another time. They're like, Jaina, when I checked the portal for like United, it had like a better redemption than transferring my points to United. But this is the thing, you want to use airline partners as well. This could get really complex. But let me just plant the seed because airlines are part of airline alliances, which include Star Alliance is the biggest one, then it's SkyTeam, then it's OneWorld, where those partner airlines can offer the same flight on United, but you book it through like a different airline. For example, with Virgin Atlantic, you want to for Delta flights, you want to check Virgin Atlantic because Virgin Atlantic can have award space for Delta flights. Similarly, on like American Airlines, you can check British Airways and they will have award availabilities for American Airlines flight. Then United, you could check Air Canada. So that just go. I know it's going to get like too complex, but it's probably because they didn't check airline alliances, right? You need to check all the options you can to get to spend the least amount of points possible. And I actually, Miranda, I want to share, I just booked one of my bucket list flights
Oh my
2 days ago. So I booked Turkish Airlines business class. So I'm gonna go to Istanbul and Cappadocia next year for my birthday trip. Happy belated birthday, Miranda!
Oh, thank
Happy belated
you.
birthday! So that's gonna happen like the end of March next year. And so this is, let me give you an example so people can see. So if you could find a word availability on Turkish Airlines, so it costs, you could actually book it through Air Canada because they're both part of um, the Star Alliance, right? So this is what I'm talking. Let me just try to give an example.
Mhm.
So it's typically 90,000 points for business class flight from Istanbul to LAX. So like 14-hour flight, right? 90,000, which is still a really good redemption, right? 90,000 for business class, and it's like over a $2,500 flight, that the actual cost. But there's also transfer bonuses. So this is another thing people need to be aware of. Sometimes your credit cards will give transfer bonuses where they'll give you 20%, 30% more points by transferring your points from the credit card to an airline partner.
Mm.
So there's a 20% transfer bonus from Chase to Air Canada until July 31st. So of course, that's why I chose Air Canada, right? So instead of 90,000 points, I spent only 75,000 points to book that same flight, right?
Wow.
So it just gets really complicated with
Well,
travel
I mean,
hacking. But
and
I
it's
guess the mistake there is just only booking in the portal. That's the common mistake. And another common mistake is not taking advantage of points transfer partners and also airline alliances.
okay. So how do you find out if there's a transfer bonus? Is it just
On your
ads
Chase app,
or
in
okay.
the Chase app, in the website, you go into Chase, and when you see the transfer partners, it
Okay.
will show you. It will
Hmm.
show you like, oh, there's a 20% bonus like to Air Canada. Or if you want to hack, just Google here. This is a great tool for everybody. Google upgraded points transfer tool. Just Google that. Upgraded points transfer tool. It'll bring you to this article that will allow you to select your points currency. So you can put Chase, American Express, City, and then it will show you all of the airlines and hotels it transfers to, those points transfer, and it will show you if there's any transfer bonus. So that's the best way. Just go to upgraded points transfer tool, and then that will show you what to
And
do.
that's just an app you can download on your phone.
It's just a website.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's upgraded points is like a points and miles website, and then they have that tool there that you could use like online.
Okay. And but it's cool because even if you didn't do the transfer though, that I mean, you're still getting
Still,
that flight for free. Still a
exactly.
$2,500 flight for nothing. I mean, that's
It did have
crazy.
$77 Canadian dollar taxes and fees. So just be careful because
Okay.
with flights, it's like never 100% free unless you go through the portal.
Mhm.
Typically, when you transfer points and you redeem them through different airlines, you're going to pay something in taxes and fees. You'll see $5.60 a lot,
Okay.
right? With like domestic flights or even international
Hmm.
ones. But there's always going to be some taxes and fees. The times that you usually don't get any taxes and fees is when you transfer your Chase points to Hyatt. Those ones don't have any resort fees, right? Most of them don't. But for 99% of the Hyatt hotels I booked,
Hmm.
I haven't had to pay anything additional aside from the points.
Okay. Christina asks, have you heard of
Yeah,
awardhacker.com?
yeah, there's a lot of great resources that people can use to learn more about points and miles. I would use upgraded points, but more so follow points and miles creators, right? Because I see a lot of misinformation for the real estate investors who start talking about points and miles because they learned that you could use real estate as a vehicle to travel for nearly free, and they have their own experience, which is very
Hmm.
valid, but they're not giving the most accurate information. I would follow GeoBreeze Travel. She's really excellent. I would travel Max Miles Points. I would travel I would follow like just points. If you just put points in miles, um, follow those people and me and
Definitely.
Miranda.
Well, okay, and so say if someone already has a bunch of points kind of already built up, like I have some Southwest points, is there anything that people can do with the points they already have, like transfer them at all, or is it just those are lost and it's just good to start now?
If you have points on Southwest, you could still use it on Southwest,
Yeah.
right? So and then if you're gonna get Chase transfers to Southwest, so then you could top off the Southwest points that you have.
Okay.
And Southwest is like an excellent travel program because they always have discounts. They have a
Mhm.
great way where the if your flight decreases in value before your flight actually takes
Mhm.
off, you're able to collect a credit for the difference. For the difference, they allow you to do that. I have a reel on that in my profile as well. So
Of
that's
course
why I
you
love
do.
Southwest. But it's not that they're lost. You just have to like add to them, and then Chase
Okay.
can add to them. Like one of the best combinations to go to Hawaii for nearly free with travel hacking is using Chase to get your flight through Southwest and then booking a Hyatt hotel. Right? That's a lot of people like that Southwest and Hyatt combo with Chase points because they can
Mhm.
give you really good value for very popular destinations.
Okay. And I know one of the mistakes you said is that don't just book in the portal. Maybe it's because I don't have a Chase or American Express yet, but I will after
Mm-hmm.
this. What is the portal?
Oh yeah, sorry. So typically these credit card travel programs have a credit card portal where you can use your points to book airline. I mean, you go book flights and hotels just in the portal, right? So they will actually allow you to use your points for whatever they deem the cost is, and it doesn't have to be with their one of their actual transfer partners. So it's like in the app, it's in like their credit card travel portal. Like it's called like Chase Ultimate Rewards
Hmm.
is like the travel portal. There's a travel portal in there for Chase, and then American
Okay.
Express has their travel portal. So
And you so when you say go outside of the portal, you're talking about just going to these other hotels or
yeah,
other
so
places
what you're gonna
directly.
do is on the app, say like on Chase or American Express, it allows you to have an option. It will say like transfer points, right? And then you'd have to get a loyalty number, which is free for any of their transfer partners, so that you could put your loyalty number in the Chase app so
Hmm.
that it will allow you to transfer your points. So this is something I did recently. I transferred some American Express points to Hawaiian Airlines because I just needed 10K. So this is what I talk about topping off. So I got the Hawaiian Airlines MasterCard, which gave me 70,000 Hawaiian miles, right? But I needed to book a first class flight that was 80,000 points. And I knew I had 10,000 Amex points because Amex transfers to Hawaiian. So in the Amex app, I put my Hawaiian loyalty account that allows me to link American Express with Hawaiian. Then it allowed me to transfer 10,000 American Express points to my Hawaiian Airlines account, and it's almost instant. Now I have 80,000 points, and I got a first class ticket to Hawaii in November. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're just going everywhere.
It, because you can. As a
Yeah.
real estate investor, you can, as long as, I mean, this is a lot of information, but if you are stuck in traffic, I would watch these points and miles YouTubers or listen to their podcasts because that's how I started learning. Yeah, I took a course, but you don't have to take a course. You just need to learn consistently and get your get your first win, get that first redemption from your Chase Sapphire card, and you're like, okay, I know how to do this now. And then you just keep getting better and better and better and getting better redemptions for more expensive flights and hotels.
That's amazing. I love hearing about your travel and how much like different. Could you give us another example before you go about
Sure, sure.
something you've been able to do?
Okay, so I talked about Turkey. I just talked about Hawaii.
Mhm.
So let's talk about Japan and Korea. I just went to Japan and Korea in May, and those were points accumulated from my quadplex. So it was a complete renovation. I got the same commercial loan, which essentially allowed me to wrap the renovation costs. And I opened up credit cards. Which one I opened? I opened up a second Chase Ink Unlimited because that's when I got the 120K elevated bonus in branch, right? I didn't even need it for the funding. Oh, by the way, what's amazing about the 0% APR card, so even if you're just using it to collect, sign-up bonuses like me, there's been times where I've used the 0% APR period because I still have it until October. And then one of my like ACs broke in the quadplex and it was like a couple thousand. I was like, oh man, oh wait, I have the Ink Unlimited. Let me use that. So it's awesome having that as a backup. So essentially you just have access to funding with 0%. It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Hi, Joyce. Joyce was in my floor in Dykstra Hall at UCLA. Nice to see you here. I just saw her. Anyway, so from my quadplex renovations and from my fifth rental property. So again, it's because I know how to use which credit cards for my personal spend and for my business expenses from real estate to just accrue. It's just like I just get a bunch of points. So I use that to book Singapore Airlines premium economy to Japan, and then also from Japan to Korea in economy, 3 nights in the Grand Hyatt Seoul. That's Joyce's Korean. What's up, Joyce? Okay. And then book the economy flight back from Korea to Japan, and then from Japan on Singapore business class back to LAX. So with renovations from essentially, well, it's 2 properties, I guess 5 units. But I know there's people here, real estate investors that are doing much bigger deals than me, that have much higher spend than me. So imagine what you could do if I'm going to Japan and Korea very easily if you have even more spend.
What did you have to come out of pocket for that after all the points?
Cool. So after it was over $10,000 for that Japan and Korea trip, that was just only 6 days, and I paid like $250. Yeah. So that's what I love. So like so just like another mindset thing. There's 2 people. Let's know in the comments what kind of person are you? When you're a travel hacker, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm saving so much money from my flight and my hotel, so I'm gonna ball out when I'm in the place. That's me. If that's you, put ball out. Or there's another. Both are really great. Otherwise, there's people like, I'm saving and I just love saving more, so I'll just continuously save. So their budget, right? So whatever you want to do, if you just want to continue to be able to travel on a budget, you can do that with points and miles. Or if you want to ball out because now you've saved $10,000 that you didn't have to spend, that's what I do. So that's why for Hawaii, we're doing Turtle Bay, which is going to turn into a Ritz-Carlton next month, right? So that it's not $779 per night. Usually I wouldn't spend that much. I'm like, no, I wouldn't. That's pretty high. But because I'm like, well, I'm taking first class that I got for free.
Yeah.
I will spend that much because I'm saving so much. So yeah, Filipina 2007 is ball out. Are you ball out or you budget? How about you, Miranda? Are you going to be ball out if you know that you're saving that much, or will you budget more?
It depends on my mood. I like to think that I like to budget, but then when I'm there, I'm just like, let's live it up. I just want to ball out.
Like really, because I was like, hey, I saved $10,000, so
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, definitely. I like to think that I like to budget, but in reality, I like to ball out.
And
But
that's what I learned because I grew up like in a working class family. I didn't think like business class was possible for me. But because you learn this skill set, yes, it takes a little bit of effort. You can do it. You can have those luxurious experiences traveling multiple times if you just spend a little bit of time each day, like listening to the podcast and everything like that. Yeah, girl math, ball out. That's definitely my girl math.
Yep. And I love this because it's like everyone is already spending money on
Mhm.
renovations and
Mhm.
investing, and they're still paying contractors and I mean their whole team. So it's like all you have to do is just shift it a little bit. You're not
Yeah.
spending more money.
No, you're not.
You're just
Putting it towards
changing the
something
way you
else.
spend it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love that. And
Exactly.
then we could just get free trips out of it just by shifting a little
Exactly.
bit.
And then another thing is like if you're an out-of-state investor, now you don't have to pay for those expenses to go check on your properties. You just use your points,
Yeah.
right, to do those trips, and now you're saving more money, so it's not affecting your bottom line.
Hmm.
So it's just like another benefit. You could use it. You don't have, because some people genuinely they don't care to travel, and that's completely fine as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things I said is like you could use it to check on your properties, or if you have a team, do they like to travel? Because
Hmm.
then imagine you incentivize your team to do meet certain metrics or just work better, and you say if you could meet this goal for our team, for our business, I will
Hmm.
give you a free flight, all expenses paid, and then you just use your points for that.
Yeah.
That's a great use of your
Incredible.
points as well. Yeah,
There's
to
no
reward your team.
there's no reason to not utilize these tools.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the best way.
Exactly.
There's always some way you can use this, whether it's benefiting you or your
Mm-hmm.
team, which is
Or
amazing.
your parents or your
Yeah, or
siblings,
family.
like you could gift these points like in certain ways and essentially give people trips as gifts. You're going to be the best person that they go. Yeah.
I love that. And as people are building and everything, is there a certain point where you get with your credit cards where you need to start closing, or is it you can have
Yeah.
20 cards and
Okay.
it's fine?
I would say I'm at that point. So for example, the Hawaiian Airlines MasterCard that I got, after a year I'm going to close it, right? Because I got what I wanted out of it and I already have my starting team. Remember, you need to have your starting team before you dip into these like support bench players.
Yeah.
But because I have such a thick credit profile with very aged accounts with on-time payments, excellent credit history, when I close that account, it doesn't even impact me. I think the other card I closed didn't even affect my credit score at all. And also know on the business side, if you close a business credit card, that doesn't hurt your credit.
Oh,
It doesn't hurt your personal credit at all because it's on the business side. Unless again, if it's Capital One, TD Bank, or Discover.
okay. I
Yeah,
like that. And you also that the amount that you have on those credit cards also don't affect your credit score
exactly.
as
Because I
well.
have such huge credit lines somewhere else. Also know another great practice is if you are going to close a credit card, if you happen to have another credit card which you could transfer your credit line to,
Hmm.
transfer it first and then close it. So you're still keeping the credit line.
Mm, okay. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know so many people got so much out of this today. Is there, if you wanted one person or everyone to walk away with one thing, what would that be?
Just start having the mindset to not be afraid of credit cards because a lot of people
Yeah.
feel like credit cards are bad. And this is the thing, credit cards are like fire. It can warm up your food to cook it. It could also warm up your house to keep you warm. But fire can also burn your food and it can also burn your house down. So it's dependent on the user. So I can understand why people are like, I hate credit cards. It's probably because they grew up in a family or an environment where people were hurt negatively by credit cards. But if you take the time to really expand your knowledge and learn this skill set, it will open way more doors of opportunity to you, not just to even build and scale your real estate portfolio, but to get you nearly free travel as well.
Yeah, I love that. Picture shot. Well, this is amazing. And everyone, if you want to continue to pick Jaina's brain, you can find her at Jaina_Ann on Instagram. Check it out. You will see how much information she has on there. It's incredible. And Jaina, what training or services or links people can find you at that you're offering right now?
Sure. If you just go to my link in bio, I offer a midterm rental operations playbook to assist people in learning how to operate midterm rentals. I also do business funding. I'm a business funding advisor with Freedom Funder. So if you need that 0% APR credit cards to get funding for real estate projects, I can help you with that. Or if you want like a customized travel plan with the points that you have and an infrastructure to figure out which are the credit cards best for me so I can sustainably get free vacations for my family annually, just check my link in bio or just DM me and I'm happy to assist you there.
You offer it all. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Miranda, and everyone.
You're
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, and thank you so much for coming on. You're incredible. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.